Yeah, I would think that's
check one.
Exclusively.
Hoping this is working.
Exclusively women. No, I mean,
I don't know.
if you're not well endowed, like if you have a big
oh.
lifted truck, I guess you would need an addictomy.
Yeah, but that's not an add. Well, add some dick. Add a dick means you didn't have one. It implies you didn't have one at all.
So you would say the
add some
verbiage
length
is
to
wrong.
me or something. Yeah.
Add some length to me.
Yeah.
That's right. She knew what that was. Let me get some girth.
Vaguely.
So where's the added girth to me surgery, huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Were
you with us when we did the Ocho Man show and we saw the guy in Beverly Hills that was doing those and he had the before and after pictures?
Oh, fuck yeah. That was gnarly, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Made that one dude's crank way bigger.
Well, the question was, how much would you pay per inch? I mean, Ocho was going to go $10,000 an inch.
What?
Yeah. I don't know if he's full of shit there. I don't know. But that's a lot of money.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
What do you think? $5,000 an inch?
No.
No?
No.
Much?
God, no. I'm not paying for any more.
Oh.
Not going to happen.
You have to remove some.
I'm not saying that either. I'm
You're
just saying I'm
lethal.
not paying for any more.
What the fuck, man?
What's the problem?
Nothing.
Oh.
Oh, anime? God damn it, anime. Hell, that is a funny meme. Armani said, drunk me can go one of four ways. Look at this. You got the little kid crying. You got Joe Jackson. No. Fuck. Turner. Ike Turner. You got Ike Turner.
Who that is?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's Ike Turner. That's the Lawrence Fishburne Ike Turner.
Oh, okay.
You got Snoop Dogg partying, and then you got Beyonce trying to be all sexy.
Oh, is that who it is? I don't know any of these people.
You know Lawrence Fishburne?
Yeah, but I didn't recognize
Have you
him
ever
in
heard
that
of
picture.
Morgan Freeman?
Yeah, but I mean, I know Lawrence
on.
Fishburne too, but that didn't look like him.
Look here. He just does it like a big
Larry
two to
Fishburne,
blow.
actually.
He does a two to blow right there, and then he smacks the shit out of Angela Bassett.
Well, that's probably what Ike did. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the movie. What's love?
He's a St. Louis
got
guy,
to do?
right?
Got to do. It makes sense.
I think Ike's from St. Louis.
East St. Louis, I believe.
Yeah.
Over here. Near. That's a good job in the city.
What's good? What's good?
Who's first?
Me.
No, you don't count.
I was here first, Armand.
No, you weren't. Everett and I were here before you.
There we go. Now.
Yeah, okay, but I was in the studio first.
I was in the building at 4 this morning.
Well, you were probably also in the building at 1 this morning.
No, didn't get here till 4. I didn't spend the night.
You two is first. That's true. Seth Jones was fish.
Somebody misses me. Cold blue.
First. Oh, first. Could be a fish. I don't know. I have to turn that off, obviously.
Oh, someone wants to speak to the foot doctor. What seems to be your problem? Wait, 4 a.m. That's when I get here. Usually I get here earlier than that, but the gym's closed. Uh-oh.
Your mic is so horribly gross. I'm moving it to another one.
What's the matter with his microphone?
Can you do me a favor? Go get a card off my desk. We're going to record this.
A cartridge?
Card. Let me check.
Yes.
My desk.
Yes. To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether it's
That's
nobler.
better. That's better.
Okay.
Sound like there was some noise in the other one. Yeah, I don't care.
I can't read anything.
Yeah, it'll kick up in
We're all
quality in a
blurry.
second. It'll kick up in a second. Let me see here.
Someone had a podiatry question.
Let me refresh it.
I was fascinated that you were so intrigued by those callus cutting
think you got it in all
YouTube
the way.
videos.
Yeah, I dig it.
It's rather mundane stuff for me.
Man, you're making out look hard.
I'm left-handed first off, and I can't see, so. Is it going either way? It goes together one way, bud.
Shit.
Grab the one that's in my card reader if there's another one. This guy wants to know how you permanently get rid of athlete's foot. It's hanging
Permanent?
on my computer.
Permanent's tough. You know, you can use topicals, Lotrimin. Yeah, boom. It's right. John Madden. That's for a very mild case.
The one with the triangle.
Lotrimin AF.
Lotrimin's good. You can use. You get obviously you have to have a prescription, but the oral medication's even better if it's really chronic. Keep your feet dry. Change your socks often. White cotton socks.
Get down. Shut up.
I got 2 standing rules in this platoon.
All right. Hey,
Cushion sole, OD green.
making a mockery of my profession.
Yes, sir.
Trying to help somebody.
And then there was Texas. He's from, well, hell, I don't know where.
You have to control the sweating of your feet. The fungus loves a dark, dank environment, i.e. a shoe. So in the summer, you know, you can let your feet air out a little bit. Change your shoes every alternate shoes every day so they dry out. Powder, using Tenactin powder is good.
Tough acting, Tenactin.
Give it a couple more minutes. We'll start the show.
Okay, DM me. Yeah. What the hell's DM mean?
Direct message.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Dick massage.
Yeah, I didn't know
It's
what
a
that
dick
meant.
massage.
I thought that meant send money.
No, it's dick massage.
Oh. That's Roman numerals, isn't it? DM, what is that? $6,000?
D5.
It's exactly the price of a dick
Yeah.
massage.
D's 5,000, right?
I don't know. I guess so.
M is 1,000. So
I never had that
I thought I
much.
was gonna get $6
I
grand.
never counted that high.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I thought I muted this.
That's me.
Oh.
Wait a minute. No, D is 500. D with the line over it is 5,000.
Oh, come on now.
M
I
is
thought
1,000.
you had this, Armand.
Well, DM would be. It doesn't make sense. Got
It's dick massage. Let's just leave it at dick
No, I
massage.
want
That's way
$1,500.
better.
No.
Or Suckle says, it's just Kevin, this is the best way to discuss medical problems. I agree. On YouTube.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do too.
Where else are you going to do it?
Saves
Just
me
take a
rent.
bitch.
Let me ask you guys a question before we start the show.
Negative.
Well, this is a good one now.
I'm waiting.
If you put a prostitute's mind in a child's body,
Oh, my God.
is it pedophilia or is it a civilized way of dealing with such perverts?
What do you mean?
Like if you could put the consciousness of a prostitute in a little kid. This by the way,
So to
this
let
is a
somebody
question
fuck
from
a
the
kid's body in it with a prostitute's mind?
This is a question from
no,
the audience.
Gross. No, you don't play into that. You don't reinforce the fucking disturb people who want to fuck children.
Well, I'm not saying I would. I'm saying this guy DM'd and I said, "Hey,
why
I'll
don't-
bring it
why
up
don't we
to the
sell
panel."
real dolls that are fucking 7-year-olds. You know what I
I
mean?
said, "Look, I said I'll bring it up to the panel."
Well, you fucking pervert. This is
What about here? You'll like this
E
one.
Hicks 83 asks, is it wrong to fuck children if they got a prostitute's mind?
Well, here you go. So check this out.
It's a rhetorical question.
Right.
Treat it as such.
Nobody's fucking kids. What are you talking about? What was the other one here? Altered carbon, like a body sleeve. I don't know what the guy really means by that, but yeah. And then we already talked about the prison. They could like implant memories into your head, like that's a way to put you in prison, like Everett was talking about on the Star Trek thing. Mm-hmm. So like if you did something and you get 20 years in prison for it, well, they just take you to the fucking jail, implant 20 years of memories in your fucking head, and you come out a different person, and you're like, fuck, but it's that day.
It was a cool episode, Deep Space Nine.
Well, this guy literally asked that same question. Well, how do you feel about that? You think it's okay?
What's the difference?
The
I ask
prison
you?
question?
Yeah.
You're in better shape afterwards because you got more life afterwards than if you did the actual time.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I would think if
it's
you have
more
that
humane.
kind of power, why wouldn't you just erase his, the
He still did the crime.
impulses to do the
No.
crime?
that's
though?
not the goddamn
In Star Trek,
question,
it was an
Armand.
accident. It wasn't even like he had the impulse. It's just something. In fact, he did nothing wrong. They fucking falsely accused him and gave him the 20-year memory implant like that before they can even do anything
Oh,
about it.
well, that's a different story. But
But the point of it is, I don't think that it's synonymous that if you can implant memories that you can erase that tendency.
no, I would put him in jail. Well, although it's cheaper to do it that way, but I don't know.
Is it?
I don't know if it's effective. Cheaper to do it the way where you change his mind. You have to
I'm sure-
feed him.
if you get psychologists writing the memory algorithms that this goes through, because you can't just implant 20 years of memories. They have to be personal to the person. They have to more or less have experienced it the way they would have experienced it. You know what I mean? You can't just say there's 20 years of being in prison for a generic person. You have to have 20 years of experienced memories of how you would have reacted to these situations.
Well, I think it depends. What is your definition of punishment? I mean, what is the punishment in that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't, what kind of sentence is that? That you're going to have these horrible memories? I'm not sure that's a.
Well, no, because you come out of it, like, as soon as you wake up, it's like
Yeah.
you've just been, like, you woke up in bed from your 20-year day in prison. You know what I mean? 20-year anniversary of being in prison. Like, if you feel like, and it's just happened. You've experienced it
Yeah,
all.
but I don't think it's just punishment because say you're 25 and you do a 20-year stretch. You get out when you're 45.
I
You've
agree.
lost 20 years. Now you're still
easier
25.
to do the implant on the person.
Right. You have
It's
these
more
painful memories,
I
but you
agree.
haven't paid anything.
Exactly. You have the memories, but now you've got your whole life ahead of you.
Right. That's the sacrifice.
And especially if you
just
didn't
blew
actually
20
get,
years.
If you didn't get rehabilitated, what
That
happened?
too.
No rehabilitation. What are we talking about? Regular prison now?
Pretty much. What's the difference? All right, we'll give it 2 or 3 minutes. We'll start the show.
All right.
Still can't read it.
I know. You'll get it there someday.
Well, I don't want to miss the question. If
You meant there. I thought you
somebody's
said
got a
you can't read.
podiatry question.
Oh yeah, dude. Adjust your
Yes.
resolution, Everett.
Man, it isn't working. It's because it's. Let me try it from Twitch. See what that does.
Oh yeah, look at that. The resolution is definitely there on YouTube.
Yeah, it's there. It's just the wireless connection or whatever. Just a minute.
What the fuck do you mean wireless? There's 900 wires over there.
Talking about my laptop, man. It's having
Oh.
a issue apparently.
Well, that I get. Hello, Panos coach. You are from Cypress Hill, I think, if I remember right.
You know, we've had this. Oh, that's much better.
Hey,
Brandon LaRose,
this is a
black
good
socks
one.
all day, every day. Well, that's you though.
that's
what's
because
wrong
he
with you?
said it doesn't help that he wears black socks. Listen,
Oh, yeah, we're
He
white
means the
socks.
1919.
hey,
White
foot
Sox.
nerd. What are your thoughts on COVID toes?
Oh, well, actually, I was reading a paper that apparently there is some sort of symptom in the toes that indicates the virus. They think it might be from
COVID toe.
constriction of the vessels to the toes.
You think so?
That supposedly it mimics, almost looks like frostbite or
Can you
chilblains.
Can you diagnose that if I have that or not?
If I were seeing a patient, yeah, I know what it looks like. Yeah, not with a shoe on.
You're not that fucking good then, I guess, huh?
No, I don't have X-ray vision. I can't
Well,
see through
you
a
know.
rubber sole.
You guys put all your fucking faith in this guy. Can't even fucking tell I got COVID toe through my shoe. Fucking call yourself a podiatrist.
No, I don't.
Luar's in the house. I see.
Is it?
Luar.
I seen one of the things here.
Are you talking about Luar?
Too many platforms to keep track of on this chat now, man. I feel like we should just go back to one.
Luar, what's his last name? Zaragoza? No, Luar.
Zaragoza?
What's his last name?
I'm having a brain fart.
Zaragoza, right?
Yeah.
Zaragoza? That ain't it.
Hickory Dickory Dock.
The mouse
All
went.
right, you guys ready for the...
I'm
let's get to
being
the,
ready. I'm fucking
let's
being
get to the
ready.
subject at hand. My hero.
Adolf Hitler.
Adolf.
No, quite the contrary.
Of course, mate, of course. The fuck was that?
Yeah, what?
That was Alex's.
Oh, okay.
You, that beautiful bean footage, right?
Yes, mate.
Armand, the fucking
You're
crazy
listening
man.
to Surreal Talk, a look inside
and
the
bake.
world of cults, conspiracies, and the paranormal.
What was the question?
Is Armand a crazy maniac? And it said
Something's not right, man. Something's not right.
Wake and
Something's
bake.
bullshit here, and I don't believe
for
it.
nothing.
I'll buy that.
Honestly, this crazy shit could be completely possible.
Disclaimer, we reserve the right to be wrong, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll say.
You think you know the whole story? Think again.
Now your hosts, Eric and Everett.
Looks like the gang's here today, huh?
What is up, everyone? Eric, bring us in.
Welcome to For Real Talk, a look
Real Talk.
inside the world of cults, conspiracies, and the paranormal, a lineupmedia.fm, and we are back again
Did you just change the title of the show?
for the
Yeah, what
first
did he
time.
call it?
He called us For Real Talk.
Yeah, it's for real.
Because it's not surreal?
Because, yeah, it's like not fake, like, or not even.
Not fake, he says. Oh, shit.
Well, no, but you get what I mean, though,
Like
right?
Bigfoot? Is that what you're implying? Like aliens?
Today it's a real show.
motherfucker fake. Yeah, no, this is.
I mean, he might be real. You don't know.
I mean, maybe.
What are we talking about today, Armand? This was your idea for a show. Tell us what.
Talking about the Red Scare, even though you guys seem, you seem to
on Joe
concentrate
McCarthy.
on Joe McCarthy. I wanted to talk about
Just the Red Scare. Oh,
Red
that's
Scare
not
in
what you
general.
said, man.
That's not what the text message I got.
Joe McCarthy, Joseph Tailgunner Joe McCarthy, in my opinion, was
Gunner.
his reputation is undeserved.
What did he do? Let's get into it.
Why don't we get
who was Joe McCarthy?
Right. Let's get the background that you guys are going to, your Wikipedia propaganda.
Tell me where I'm
background.
getting more facts than Wikipedia and at my fingers reach.
The book I just read, I referred to.
Who wrote the book?
Said every asshole ever. Oh, your only source is Wikipedia.
Who wrote the book?
I'll look it up.
How do we know the author
It
of
was
this?
Jesse McCarthy. His
It was his son.
Has
It was the heir to the McCarthy
basically,
estate.
it's,
his last name Cohn.
Yeah.
you don't think that Wikipedia is a left-wing
No,
propaganda site?
Wikipedia
I will say
definitely
they're nuts.
has its fucking faults.
I can see through bias. If I see bias, I can see through that shit. So I don't worry about it. I'm looking for facts, and in any way I can get them, and I'm getting through the bias.
Everett says, just the facts, ma'am.
Blacklisted by history.
Yeah.
The Untold Story of Senator Joe McCarthy and His Fight Against America's Enemies by M. Stanton Evans. Read it.
You have an Amazon link? I'm kidding.
I don't
I won't be reading. So
The
how
sausage
long was the
link.
book, and did it use big words? That's the important question.
It was very well footnoted, and the bibliography.
Any pictures?
Yes, there were pictures.
Okay.
Well, let's start with the background of McCarthy. Like we said, he was a Wisconsin senator, born in 1908. Farm boy.
Yeah, May 2nd.
Had to drop out of junior high, I believe, in the 7th grade to go work on the farm. Didn't reenter.
Big family, didn't he? Were there 7 people and 7 kids in the family?
7 kids.
Okay,
Dropped out
No
of
notes. I'm not using notes.
school and middle school. Comes back when he's 20 years old. Finishes up high school in 1 year.
At 20.
At 20 years old, goes on to become the youngest sitting judge in Wisconsin history.
Apparently he wasn't behind. Even though he finished at 20, youngest sitting judge.
Yeah, I mean, you can't put
Not behind.
anything away from his intelligence in that regard.
Yeah, no, I mean,
He passed the bar. That's not an easy thing to do.
not unless you know people and got money, I guess, right? I don't know.
Oh, here we go.
Anyway.
Sure, he bribed his way to the judgeship.
Yeah.
So his service, he was encouraged, we'll say, by a judge friend of his to enlist into the service because his friend also enlisted. So he enlisted in the service.
He didn't have to.
Two judge
Didn't have
buddies. Two judge buddies both listed. They're like, hey, we're fucking. How does that conversation even? Anyways, go ahead.
He just said, "Hey, man, you ought to come over and do this." You know what I mean? You're already gone through college. You're going to be
and
an officer right off the
McCarthy
bat.
was that impulsive that he was just like, "Fuck it, I'm going to war."
Pretty much.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, that's the way I understand
Before
it.
we really get into
Not
the
like
impulsive.
somebody I
He was
know.
patriotic, kind of.
Right, yeah,
before we
sure.
get into the quote facts, though, you've heard of Joe McCarthy, right?
Right.
Okay. What were your impressions? What were you taught?
Most of the time, it was just the way. See, he wasn't really taught so much in our
Okay.
high school or junior high.
Had you ever heard of? Had you even heard of him?
Who?
Before?
No, I had not. That's
You
why I
hadn't
told
even heard
Everett.
of
I
him.
said, "Am I the
That's-
idiot here?"
boy.
Because I've not even heard of the fucking
like to
guy.
So he was a witch hunter, is what I always heard. The
Right.
Red Scare, and it's only cursory information I have about it. I'm glad that I've been able to read through.
I fucking learned a
form
lot.
a better opinion on Joe McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
Most people will probably only have heard the reference to McCarthy or McCarthyism.
Have you heard that term? Had you heard that term before?
You
Yeah,
had
but
one
not
time.
in the sense that I knew pertaining to like this guy.
So there's the movie
From a
Dazed and
movie.
Confused. There was a quote in one of the characters.
Wisconsin.
They were talking about witch hunting for the football team. You know what I mean? Like they have to sign these fucking forms that they're not going to do drugs and not hang out with a certain element.
Yeah, I
And the guy's like, I wouldn't fucking give into this neo McCarthyism. You know what I mean? It was a good term, and they even said that in the movie. But that's probably the only way you ever heard the term McCarthyism, right? Eric?
What-
So it's
yeah.
a pejorative term, though. When somebody says you're a McCarthy, you're using McCarthy tactics, or that's McCarthyist.
What state was he from, Everett?
Wisconsin,
Okay, I just didn't know.
Someone's objecting to your
pronunciation.
pronunciation.
Yeah, that's why I
Who
said
is
that.
that?
I don't know.
Wisconsin.
James.
Wisconsin? I don't know. Wisconsin?
Wisconsin.
The fucking most boring.
Th-
of the
this guy
states.
probably adds the S on Illinois. All I'm gonna say.
Illinois.
Illinois.
I like to say it like the French would. Illinois.
I lived in Kenosha,
Did you?
so yeah.
Please
I was,
stop
I was
saying
in
Wisconsin.
Cheesehead for a
Wasn't
while.
that a fucking
Damn, they've really
Happy
got
Days?
a problem with it. What's the deal
No,
here?
they're in Milwaukee.
Wisconsin.
Wait, are you
Wisconsin?
sure? Happy Days was Milwaukee.
Sure.
What was in Kenosha?
There was a show in
The
Kenosha,
Peaches.
Wisconsin.
Well, I thought there was.
No, those.
Wasn't Arnold's in Kenosha from the show? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't really matter.
Mm.
In 46, he was elected. Well, let's go back a little bit more about his military career. He, like we said, he volunteered to go into the service, became
Yes,
an
he
officer.
did.
Right.
He volunteered
World War II.
to volunteer to be a gunner on
Old Tail Gunner Joe, bud.
in the back of a plane where you shoot a gun. There's a little controversy surrounding this, though.
He did volunteer for
Absolutely.
some
And he did
missions.
fly.
He did volunteer for 12 missions, but they were all training missions.
They were training
for him.
missions.
So he never had an active engagement.
He said he volunteered for 38. It's close.
32.
32 and 12 is fucking close. All I'm going to
Not
say.
even
He
close
could have
at all.
mistook it a little bit.
Which is why the term tail gunner Joe becomes eventually
fucking
becomes
tail gunner Joe. I know.
more or less an insult and a ha ha. Have you heard that before? Where tail gunner Joe is used as an insult?
Yeah, it's like
Anything referring to Joe McCarthy is an insult. That's what we're
Good
trying to
point.
figure out
Good
today.
point. And right, is it warranted? Is the question.
And that's what one of my questions there at the end is exactly that is everything I looked up on this guy, with the exception of like obvious far right and far left websites, everything that is neutral and in the middle, like politically, still shits on this dude. Like there's not.
Well, by the end of his career, he had burned too many people. You know what I mean? History doesn't look good on the guy that goes against everyone.
Yeah, I mean because nobody liked him.
So he was a gunner observer, but he was on a combat mission.
Is that right?
That's what it says.
Says
he
what?
volunteered to fly 12
Look
combat
at this.
missions.
This motherfucker's getting his facts from Wikipedia. Who's going to believe
No,
that?
he
It's
isn't.
not Wikipedia.
No, he
Look, it says right there, Wikipedia.
Okay.
Right there.
Fucking
You don't-
some people's
okay.
kids, man.
Well, that's your source, right?
I mean,
You
I
don't
guess
like
there's
it?
conflicting parts of that article then.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Wisconsin. Oh, okay.
So he was up there in a plane being shot at.
Sure.
Okay, well, there we go.
I mean, whether they were rubber bullets or not, the world may never
sure,
know.
yeah.
Training this,
Yeah,
training
those
that.
Japanese.
Whether it was above Nebraska or not, we'll never know.
Whether it was 32 or 12, it's all the same to me. You know, it's like
See,
when
you
I
guys are
landed
already
in Bosnia.
betraying-
Hey, Armand, when I landed in Bosnia, I landed under a heavy sniper fire.
Yeah, you and
remember?
Hillary.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and there's video came out a little bit later. I was getting flowers from people.
That wasn't
it turned
even the
out to
same
be a
day.
lie. That's why that fucking 32 to 12 pisses me off is because of the Hillary thing. Fuck you when you fucking try to take advantage of my emotions like, oh, this guy's a fucking war hero? 32 missions?
Well, though, that's-
he volunteered for 12
So you're-
training
to bring this
exercises.
up, is basically to start to build at least my opinion of the man's character, who will say anything to get public opinion to be swayed to what his
He
cause
wants
is.
to be a rock star is what he wants.
Well, it's kind of that.
And this
He
is
definitely-
unique among politicians, of
No.
course. Okay.
No, but this guy did it
Then
best.
why is he being singled out?
Well, whenever you start, so it's easy to single out the guy pointing the finger at everyone else. You know, what I mean? Everybody else is an asshole. Well, maybe the guy pointing the finger.
No, it
is.
isn't, because he's pointing the finger at you being a communist. Was he a communist? No, he was not a communist. That's the difference.
Well, he did whenever he was elected to the Senate the
if he
first time.
said you're a slacker and you lied about your combat experience, and then he lied about his combat experience, or you're a homosexual and I hate your guts, but you're in a stall at a glory hole. Yeah, you're a hypocrite.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. But
Now-
whenever he was elected to the Senate in 1946, he benefited from Communist Party vendetta against his opponent, La Follette. Who
was a communist, basically.
Well,
Bob La Follette,
No,
he's
no,
on a
no.
progressive ticket. He's a socialist.
The reason the communists were against him because he was an anti-communist.
Wait, so socialist and
Bob
communism is the same
LaFollette?
thing then, or no?
That's what I've read.
Armand, socialism
Could
and
be.
communism are the same thing then, or?
No, socialism an economic system. Communism is a political system.
So here, let me read.
So
a
then it's
paragraph or
totally
two.
different.
What about Bob La Follette?
Let's go through
Fighting
this.
Bob.
Ignore
In
me,
his
I get it.
campaign, McCarthy attacked La Follette for not enlisting during the war, although he had been 46 when Pearl Harbor was bombed. So he was a little too old to even enlist at that point. He also claimed he had made huge profits from investments.
Then why didn't he fight in World War One?
Good question.
He would have been 23. Did he fight in World War One?
World War One was.
He was too busy in
If he's
college,
46
bud.
in 1941, how old is he in 1918? 23.
When he was 20, he just
Why didn't he
graduated
fight
high
World War
school.
One?
Well, World War One was when 1911, 1914 when we were in it?
1918, 1917, 1918. We declared war April 4th.
He would have been 11 years old in
1917.
1918. He was born in 1908.
So he wasn't 46 then
Well-
in 1941. He was 33. Do the math.
No, Follette was.
Yeah, Bob La Follette. Why didn't he fight in World War
Oh,
One?
I don't know. It's a good question. I thought you were talking about
Well, he's a
McCarthy
coward. He's a slacker. Fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him.
Point made.
Who?
Point and match.
So McCarthy went ahead and made claims that he had made a lot of money war profiting, while McCarthy himself had made a lot of money investing in the stock market himself.
That's not war profiteering.
Getting investments from a mysterious benefactor.
That's not war profiteering. It's not the same
Fair
thing.
enough, but the point is, it's pointing the finger at somebody else for you doing something just as fucking shady.
Here again, I'm not going to defend that, but God knows that's what politics is all about.
I don't
okay?
disagree. But my point is, whenever somebody makes an, and every politician can do it, but whenever they start coming out against everyone else for every little reason, you bring yourself right into the fucking the crosshairs of everyone else.
It's like
I don't
landing in
think that-
Bosnia
but
under
the point
sniper
is,
fire.
I want to ask our listeners, does that diminish the
Yes.
actual points he made, which were proven? That's all. These are all ad hominem attacks. That's a logical fallacy.
He got everybody listening with the 205 communist talk,
Whatever,
and then then it ended up being like what, 5?
No, that's
11?
not true.
How many were
That
there?
is absolutely not true.
Okay, so
Either which way, the war profiteering is what the suggestion that his opponent had been war profiteering was what won him the election.
Okay,
he won
fine.
207,000 votes to 202,000 votes.
now
Really
while
fucking close
while
race in this,
campaign smearing is par for the course,
Absolutely.
while it is par for the course, I hate fucking seeing that shit. I don't want to see that.
Well, then don't pay attention to politics, because that's all that politics is.
I hate politics too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're right
Well,
there
we've
with you.
established that. Mm-hmm. But that's hypocrisy right there.
Yeah, well, I hate it.
What's the hypocrisy there, Armand?
Well, he did this, he did that, and then I say everybody did. Yeah, that's true. Well, that's being a hypocrite.
I'm
They're
not
all.
saying-
I hate
not
politics.
everybody did that.
I'm
Look,
sure.
if you
I'm
was-
sure his
What I'm saying
opponent
is
had
the
nothing
issue
but
is whenever you
compliments
start,
for him.
Whenever you get outwardly, pointing the finger at everybody else, you got to start making sure that your backyard is clean. And his was not clean.
No, tell Gunner
What are you talking
Joe.
about? It's not clean.
Tell
He's
Gunner,
full of
He's not
fucking
a
fallacies
communist.
and lies.
well, let us prove to you a little bit further then, Armand. Moving right along.
Yes.
So what about the enemy within speech he gave in Wheeling, Virginia? Tell us about
Right.
that one, Armand.
Well, we don't know, because basically what is happening is there is no all there is a transcript quote of this speech. There is
Fair.
no recording
What
of the
was
speech.
what was the gist of it?
Well, we don't know, but basically he's saying there were communists in the State Department. He did not say how many. If you read the book Blacklisted by History,
So that book
there is
says.
no transcript of that. Millard Tidings,
In
who we're gonna
that-
talk about,
that's
who hated his guts, came up with that.
So usually the quote he's usually quoted as saying the State Department is infested with communists.
Correct. He did say that. He did
I
not
have here
give a
in my
number.
hand a list of 205.
He did not say that.
A list of names that were made known to the Secretary of State as being members of the Communist Party who nevertheless are still working and shaping policy in State Department. You're saying he never said
He
I
did
have
not
here in my
say
hand.
205,
Oh, wow.
nor did he say 57. And that's
So
the
you
debate.
have-
Was it 205 or 57?
Then why does the majority of the internet of easy
Because
research that's out
Millard
there?
Tidings, which we're going to talk
So
about.
tidings from 7 years in the past has influenced the internet today.
Sure, because that was the commission that was investigating him, and you're taking their word for it, even though they have no proof whatsoever. And here's the point.
You're taking the proof of one guy's book who may have been a fucking
We don't know.
later.
He could have got paid to write that shit.
But there is no proof. Have you got any proof? That's what I'm saying.
No, do you?
Just
All
'cause
I'm going
one
on
guy
is with
says
the
it and the other guy-
majority.
General consensus here.
Right.
Yeah.
What am I going to go? I'm going to go like out on the internet, look for the unpopular opinion with less people backing it and less proof, and say that's what I'm going to have to probably,
I bet when you
here's
get
the-
into
That's
arguments
like going
on
out there saying
Facebook.
vampires are real
I was
because
gonna
less
say,
people think it's true.
I
than
bet when
others.
Armand gets an argument on Facebook, he goes to Google and finds the one that supports his shit, and then bam, mic drop.
No. Can I say something now?
Please do.
Now that
Of
your two
course.
siblings have finished with your ramblings.
I'm not near finished, but go ahead. I'm done for a second.
Millard Tidings,
Right.
who was a senator at the time. Okay, I've told you this, and this is undisputed since it's not in Wikipedia and you can't dispute it
I bet I
because you don't know anything
find
else. But basically, what happened was he had hearings about this, and Joe McCarthy said, "I have a list of names of people that are in the State Department that are
57
communists."
is what he said that
He
day.
didn't say that.
That's-
okay. Whatever the
That in
number
the
is.
Tidings Committee.
Whatever the number is. Okay, great. He said 57. Fine.
Right.
I will give you the list of names, but I'm not sure about these people. I don't want to put it out in public. We will do it in committee. Tidings jumped all over him. That's when he started calling him a traitor and a liar and everything else.
Well, then he
That's
eventually-
the beginning of their feud.
And he eventually he presented 81 loyalty risks employed at the State Department
Absolutely.
during
And,
that,
and
so-
most of them actually left the State Department very soon afterwards or got fired.
Which is what directly the Tidings Committee and everything directly leads to the problems he has with Truman at the time too. You would
That
say.
was the problem. He was a Republican. Truman was a Democrat,
Democrat, right.
obviously. And that was a big problem he had. Truman hated his guts, and he hated Truman's guts.
Fuck, man, I'll tell
But
you
Truman
what.
didn't do anything about this.
Look at this. So like as we're doing some research on these two, I had to note this shit because the beef that him and Truman had was fucking real. They cussed each other
they
out.
hated each other.
On fucking like literally son of a bitch this,
Well, that's what I'm
idiot
saying.
that, like yeah, damn it. Yeah, like
Well, that's why I have a
Truman once referred to McCarthy as the best asset that Kremlin has.
Yeah,
So-
right. Yeah, Truman. Yeah, and then when they presented him with all these names, he said it was fairy dust.
He
So
called
he's
Truman a real
fairy.
softy too.
Yeah,
and
he
that
is.
was the big thing. He said he was soft and he was a big pussy.
Yeah, he was.
he was on league with
He's
the
an
communists.
artillery officer.
He said that the Democrats had 20 years of treason.
True.
True.
Absolutely.
I read this one book and it's true.
No, FDR. What do you think? Well, I'm going to go over
Hang
some
on.
of these
During
things.
the
Please
Korean
do.
War, President Truman dismissed General Douglas MacArthur. McCarthy charged that Truman and his advisors must have planned the dismissal during late night sessions when they've had time to get the president cheerful on bourbon and Benedictine. McCarthy declared the son of a bitch should be impeached.
Well, that's why I laugh these days when people talk about Schumer and Trump and how there's no cordiality, no collegiality in the Congress and the president. This has been going on for 70
You're not wrong
years.
there.
Are you kidding me?
This is a mirror of
Right.
today's political. Like, you can take McCarthy and the public opinion of him and the way he did things, and any quote you ever saw about McCarthy put Trump's name in there, and it more or less.
And it literally is the
about
same.
Lincoln. They were saying things about Lincoln,
Fair
calling him a
enough.
monkey and everything else. Are you kidding me? Nothing is new.
I'm not
There's never
disagreeing
been
with
collegiality and cordiality in between the parties.
that don't make it right, but you're not.
Well, that's
wrong.
why Washington warned against parties. But what do we got? We got the party.
Nobody listened, Armand.
But the question that it comes right down to is, no matter what you think of the man, was he speaking the truth when he said the State Department is infested with communists?
How many does it take to be infested? One.
I mean,
I'm
I would
using
think
I'm
so.
using the term
2,000?
the FBI used. This is what the FBI. Read the Venona, which
I did.
Do you
I
know
went
what
over
the
it.
Venona
Yes,
project
I went
was?
over that, yeah.
Explain that to people.
Let me find my note on it.
Project
here.
Venona.
At the end of the day, was it the one where they had hold on.
Listen, in 1940,
Give it here, Armand.
the Finns went to war with the Russians. Okay, in 1944, the Finns found they found the book, the cryptography book of the Russian code.
Right.
They offered it. Roosevelt didn't want it in all his. There's another. Well, we won't go into him, but anyway, he was an asshole. But he didn't want it. And then in 1950, let's see, when did they? Was it 47? They got another book. The Poles, I believe. The Poles had another book, and they gave it to the OSS, which is a precursor of the CIA.
Right.
And that was what's his name? Wild Bill Donovan. They gave it to him. He gave it to the FBI. And the FBI used it to decode the Russians, and they, for years, were decoding all these Russian,
Transmissions, yeah.
Thanks,
all the
boys.
the spy network,
All these encrypted messages.
right? All the codes. So we know, unfortunately, and they told Truman about it, and he said, I have the quote. It's let's see, I believe he called it fairy dust.
Well, so and there was, and I forget the man's name. He said that the government in the past 3 years had they had investigated 16,000 people and found 0 of them to be actual communists.
Who said this?
But let me find it.
You ever heard of Alger Hiss? I can think of
Yes.
one right off the
Yes.
right off the bat.
Alger Hiss, yeah.
Okay.
Flowers from Algernon. Hey, thanks a lot, Frank and Luar. We appreciate it, guys.
Algernon, what are you talking about?
Nothing. I was just making a joke there. But yeah, dude, I'm in the gummy gate at work, baked as hell. Hell yeah. Good job.
Eric, shut up.
Well, what are you looking up over there?
Trying to find that the article I found with the 16,000 figure here. I think I found it. Oh yeah. So, in response to McCarthy's attack, John, and you probably can pronounce this last name better than me, Purefoy,
Oh God.
Deputy Undersecretary of State, said
Yeah.
that in the 3 years prior, the government investigated 16,000 of its employees and failed to find a communist. He said, if I could find a single one, I'll be fired by sundown. The Venona transcripts contain the code names, though, of about 200 people. So that right there tells you that there was a sufficient amount of people. But did you ever consider, though, that could have been false information planted by the Soviets, too? I'm not saying it was. It was more likely that they were spies. But have you ever considered that it could have been?
No, because of Elizabeth Bentley.
Go on.
Okay,
Who's
Elizabeth Bentley was a Soviet spy.
Sure.
Who was afraid? Who thought that her usefulness to the KGB, or maybe it might have been the NKVD at that time, or is it NVKD? Anyway, the precursor to the KGB, thought that her life was in danger, and she switched sides, and that's when she started naming names, such as Alger Hiss, Harry Dexter White, Owen Latimer. All these guys were spies. Now, what do these guys do?
What do they do?
Let's talk about it. Harry Dexter White,
Huh?
Under Secretary of State.
Right.
Okay. Under Cordell Hull. Cordell Hull was kind of like Franklin Roosevelt, kind of sick and useless. So Harry Dexter White ran things pretty much at state. He had a lot of pull. He was the highest ranking Russian, what I don't know what you'd call, I would say a spy, really, plant, whatever. This guy sold us out big
Agent,
time.
if you will.
Agent, yeah, double agent.
A couple of things this guy did. After the war, okay, we actually had the printing, we had the printing, what do you call those? Where you print the money.
The
Press?
No,
No,
the
the press.
fucking the plates.
The plates, right,
okay.
very good. We printed plates for our soldiers. They were also used in all the areas, because Germany was split up into 4 different sectors: French, British, ours, and the Russians. Everybody got paid in these marks. He stole the plates, gave them to the Russians. The Russians printed up billions of these marks
And just distributed them
to their
Fucking
soldiers.
tanked
They
them.
paid their soldiers with that money. So there's $270 million right there, marks or dollars. The taxpayer were paying Soviet troops. That's just one thing the guy did. He was also in charge of the International Monetary Fund, which basically gave money out to people.
But what does this have to do with McCarthy other than to just...
He's a spy.
Then just-
Well, he was in the State Department, and he was a spy.
McCarthy, though. McCarthy was not a spy.
No, Harry Dexter White.
Right.
Okay. Well, the guys... And how about Klaus Fuchs? The guy gave away
Keep 'em
atomic
coming.
secrets.
He was part of the
Manhattan Project,
right?
Him and the Rosenbergs, David Greenglass, Ethel Rosenberg's brother-in-law, or brother, I believe. Yeah. I mean, these guys, they helped give the Russians the atomic bomb. I mean, these aren't just little secrets about, what color
That's fair.
underwear Truman's wearing,
And see,
That's
and the
treason.
thing, it's hard to believe too. At the same time, that people believe that there was no, Soviet agents implanted into our government too.
Yeah, because I'm sure there definitely was. So it'd be
Roosevelt didn't think
stupid
so.
for fucking trying not to. I
Roosevelt
mean,
was a little bit of a boob in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, he's a Stalin sympathizer.
no, I don't think
Let me
that's
ask you
true.
this: Is it
Alger Hiss.
I guess
Talk
it's
about
worth
him.
it in your opinion then to allow the near blanket finger pointing that McCarthy was famous for in his witch hunting.
Yes.
For the chance to root out a few individuals.
A few.
This man ruined careers by pointing the fingers for things that didn't pan out.
That deserve to have their careers ruined. I want to hear one that he ruined that wasn't a communist or a
the guy that
sympathizer.
shot himself
Oh
in the
yeah, what
face.
about Lester Hunt?
Tell me about him.
You don't know about Lester Hunt?
No.
He was an outspoken opponent of Senator Joseph McCarthy in an anti-communist campaign, or of McCarthy's anti-communist campaign. Hunt challenged McCarthy and his senatorial allies by championing a proposed law restricting congressional immunity, allowing individuals to sue members of Congress for slanderous statements. So he wanted to be able to make it so congressmen could be held responsible for the things they say. He could say that Walmart poisons children in Africa, right? And he could have no issues can come against him from Walmart. So Hunt said, no, you're going to be able to be sued for that. Any which way, going on. In June 1953, Hunt's son was arrested in Washington, D.C. on charges of soliciting sex from an undercover male officer, which at the time homosexual acts were all considered illegal.
They were illegal.
Right. Several Republican senators, including McCarthy, threatened Hunt with prosecution of his son and wide publication of the events unless he abandoned plans to run for re-election and resign immediately, which Hunt refused to do. His son was convicted and fined on October 6, 1953. On October 15th, 1954, Hunt announced his intention of re-election. He changed his mind, however, after McCarthy renewed the threat to use his son's arrest against him. On June 1954, Hunt committed suicide in his Senate office. The suicide dealt a serious blow to McCarthy's image as one of the factors that led to his censure later on by the U.S. Senate. You never heard of that?
No, I've never heard that.
Does it surprise you, or do you think it's
Well,
completely
that's
opposite?
probably because
they
it
used,
goes.
that was common stuff.
That's
Sumner
to the
Wells is the same
contrary.
I'm not saying it's common or not. Do you condone that?
More than that, it's to the contrary of what you believe. So
I-
are you accepting that?
Yes, I accept it.
Okay.
And more than just accepting that it happened, what is your opinion? on it?
I'm not saying
As
that
this
you-
man is a saint, as you're painting him
Yeah,
to
I
be,
mean, is this
and-
okay?
You guys are missing the
Unnecessary
point.
evil.
You guys are missing the point.
What
Okay.
if fucking
The
somebody
point
that works
is,
here
he was
went home and
telling the
shot themselves
truth
in the
about the
face?
State Department, and I think all things considered, had he been believed, and he should have been.
Look, if this is
we
a
would've been
the
in
ends
better
justify
shape.
the means is the question. in my
Yes, they
opinion.
do.
If this is a
Absolutely.
court case, we're justifying. We're
Did the guy break
playing to
the
his
law?
character right now.
I'm not.
Did the
talking
guy
about
break
his
the law?
character.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's illegal to say if you don't do what I tell you to do, we're going to make a bad thing happen to your kid. That's
Well,
blackmail.
he paid for it. That's why part of the
No, he
reason he was
didn't.
never.
Though.
he
He
never
paid
actually
for it
did
in
that
his
Himself,
reputation.
That was part of the reason of his downfall.
So if you call having a little bit of a serious blow done to his image, call him paid for it, I don't consider that to pay for it.
No, that's not.
The
no.
man whose son happened to be a homosexual and got caught for it shot himself. That's paying for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why don't you blame the law then? Because that's like saying
Blame the law. Why would you blame the man
This
who
dude's
uses the law?
exposed him. Yeah, this is the guy that used the
McCarthy
law.
used that law as a tool.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, nobody's
Yes,
ever done
he
that
does.
either.
That doesn't make it right, Armand.
Exactly.
We're talking
Armand.
about
You
one
can't
the
man.
law.
You got to quit relating things to other people whenever they do something
It's
fucked up. You
equivocation.
can't just
We're not
say,
talking about-
well,
we're
they're
talking about
fucked
one
up, so
man.
I'm fucked up. You can't say that. You can't say this person does fucked up shit, so that makes it okay when this person does fucked up shit.
But you can't say
This
because the
guy
guy's
still does
fucked up
fucked
and
up
I don't
shit.
like his character and he's a dick, that what he says is not true.
Well, we're getting to that.
Well, you're not getting
I
to
most
that.
certainly can say that.
All this is ad hominem attacks. He did this, he did that. I'm talking about stick to the point.
No, they're not attacks. They're straight out
You don't
charges.
care about what these communists
Right.
did to our country? You don't care about treason.
No, I care about treason, but his methods is what I have issue with.
Okay. You have issues with it.
I do have issues with it.
Okay.
I don't think the ends justified the means. There were other ways to root these people out.
I can't think of any.
And what the fuck does it have to do any which way to go ahead and blackmail a man whenever you're against communists because a guy wasn't with your campaign.
Well,
it's okay to do that.
Well, that's okay because he hated gay people too. Because he corresponding to the Red Scare, he did the Lavender Scare, which also was directed at LGBT, no Q at that time, federal employees.
Sure, they
causing
had-
scores of citizens to lose their jobs.
Well, why do we? Okay, what?
Anybody that would dissent.
Have you ever heard of the loyalty oath?
All I'm going to say.
You had to take a loyalty oath to work for the government. Was
Right,
that
which
right?
you'd have to write down that you have no other loyalties. A lot of those people would abstain from writing, from filling that out.
But what about
Basically
the
making
law
them think-
itself?
Just so the abstention from filling that out is enough to make you a communist, which was pretty much what McCarthy was saying at
I'm
the time.
asking you about the law. That has nothing to do with McCarthy.
Okay.
He didn't pass that law.
Then what's the law exactly?
What's the
You had to
question?
sign- nobody in the government would be hired without taking a loyalty oath that they were not a communist.
Well, they should have been required to sign that, and if they perjured themselves, then they should have been held responsible.
Okay, so you don't have a problem with that law.
No, well, no, I'm not saying I don't have.
Fine. Okay. Well,
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying the law was that, and it should have been followed. The same thing with the homosexuality law. At the time, was a law, so it has to be followed. That's my point.
But you just don't like him using it as a weapon.
Exactly my point. In a hypocritical way. I mean, only because it serves him.
That's some shit Trump would do, though. He would hold fucking funding from
Here
this
we go,
person
here
or
we
that
go,
person,
yeah.
and unless you do what he says,
Right.
and I'm
Well,
just
yeah.
saying.
Obama
Anyway.
would never do it. But
No, of
Trump
course not.
would.
Of course not.
Trump,
No.
oh, no.
Just because this person's
Oh,
fucked
no.
up, that doesn't mean
Oh,
my
you keep your
person's fucked
doctor.
up.
You want to keep your
Yeah.
doctor. Keep
I mean,
your
he's
doctor.
fucked up, so I can be fucked up. That's the way it
Yeah,
goes.
keep your
Right?
doctor.
Sure.
Okay, big ears.
Michelle.
Michelle.
Listen, Michelle. I had a pretty
Anyway.
good Obama.
Say it again.
Michelle. That's all I got, though.
That's not a good Obama.
I don't know. I didn't hear from Obama.
Well,
All I heard was, huh, Michelle?
let's fucking hear yours then. How
I
about
don't
that?
have one. I'm not claiming to.
Oh,
though.
okay. All right.
You want to keep your doctor? Keep your doctor.
That's a decent Bernie.
that wasn't bad.
That's a decent Bernie. You got to give him
Bernie.
That was Obama.
That's a burn.
that. Oh, never
Hey,
mind.
it was Obamacare. If you want to keep your doctor, keep your doctor.
You sounded like Bernie to me, pal.
No.
Okay, well,
If there are quite so many people on health care
was
today.
yeah, it was actually John Wayne. Anyway, all right, let's talk about Owen Latimer. We're talking about the Red Scare.
Right.
Okay. What do you think about this whole time period in our
I believe.
country?
Well, okay. Just to think about the Red Scare, it's a tragedy. The people were their everyday lives were completely. It was completely around the whole communist threat. You know what I mean? Everything they see, the propaganda was the Soviets are bad, communism is bad, it's going to ruin the world. And that's a bummer. And the fact to you that it became weaponized is, I think, is the way you can call the Red Scare. It was a weaponized form
I have a
of
question.
xenophobia.
Yes. Definitely preying on people's emotions in order to garner
That's what
support.
government does, right? Haven't we
Does
established
that
that
make
on
it
this show?
right?
It's-
You keep saying that's because
Hey, if they're fucked up, I'm fucked up. It's
I
okay.
think-
they
no.
can be fucked up, I can be fucked up.
All right, let me
The guy
talk.
over there's using heroin. You better give me the needle.
As far as Harry Dexter White and Owen Latimer and these guys,
Mm-hmm.
okay, why do you think Truman was blamed for China going communist?
Tell me.
Do you know what was going on during the
Yeah,
war?
Russia, right? Russia got in there.
Absolutely. Well,
the
here's
Chinese
what
Civil
happened.
War, right.
During the war, obviously the Chinese were fighting the Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Russian agent named Richard Sorge in Tokyo.
Sorge.
Sorge. Okay, he was passing information. I believe it was to Latimer or one of the spies in the State Department. Okay. That's how they were keeping up on. Basically, there was a battle in 1939 called the Battle of Khalkhin-Gol in Mongolia.
Cock and balls, got it.
No, not cock and balls. Khalkhin-Gol.
Oh, close enough. Yeah.
Georgy Zhukov gave the Japanese a pretty good bloody nose at this battle. Okay, but they had to keep a lot of troops in Siberia just in case Japan attacked Russia. That's what they were worried about. Okay, Sorge found out, and through Harry Dexter White and other agents at the State Department, Harry Dexter White kept telling.
Directly or through a handler?
No, I think it was direct. Well, somebody they gave him plans or whatever.
Or was
They
Zorga
gave-
the handler of White? Are you saying there was? I'm just
Sorge
curious.
was a
Not that
Russian.
it matters. I'm just trying
He
to
was
get
a
the
Russian.
relationship. So was there direct contact between Sorga himself and the
I'm not sure
the moles
how
in
it
the State
went,
Department?
but he
Okay.
was.
I was just
He
curious.
knew that basically what he was doing, what Harry Dexter White was doing, and these guys in Japan, Owen Latimer and these guys, I think the other guy's name is Laughlin, were undercutting any kind of, because Konoye, who was the Japanese, I believe, prime minister, wanted to make peace with the United States. He wanted a truce.
Mm-hmm.
They kept undermining it because had Japan made peace with the United States, they probably would have attacked Russia. Sorge knew this, and he knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen. He told the Russians that you don't have to worry about the Japanese because I know they're going to attack Pearl Harbor. That's why they sent Zhukov and all these Siberian, these guys, you ever seen the skis where they fought the Battle of Moscow in early December? They moved them all from Siberia to fight the Nazis, or they would never have, probably.
Because they knew that there was no threat right then
Exactly.
from the Japanese.
Moscow would have probably fallen. That was all because State Department, notes were sent
That's pretty
to the
fucking
to the Russians through the Japanese.
So,
what do you think had happened had the mole not been there? You think Russia could have perhaps fallen either which way?
I don't think we'd have gone to war.
Do you think the Japanese, had they known that Russia had plans of that they knew of the attack on America, that they would have stopped that and then went right back at Moscow because they knew they had a chance?
Say that question again.
Okay, so Russia knew that Pearl Harbor was going to happen, so they moved their troops out of Siberia to protect Moscow from the German side.
Yeah.
So if Japan had gotten word that Moscow knew about the attack on Pearl Harbor, repositioned troops, you think that they could have zagged and then went
attacked Russia?
Yeah.
No, I think the ships had already left. I mean, they were already on their way to Pearl Harbor because they had no choice, and that's why the State Department, these spies, basically kept telling Roosevelt, you got to cut off the oil, aluminum, all these. You have to. Basically, what they told the Japanese was get the hell out of China because they'd already invaded it years ago in 1937. They were fighting since 1932 actually in Manchuria. They said get the hell out of China, or we're gonna cut off everything: oil, rubber, all this stuff. All
you need for your war machine, right?
Right, scrap metal, etc. Japan's there's no way that's going to happen. There's no way, and they knew that.
Right.
So they kind of pushed them into a corner. And that's what they wanted. That's what George Marshall had a bulletin. We got to make these guys fire the first shot.
Now, he eventually became, Secretary of State, and he was general in World War II.
Yeah.
Right.
George Marshall. Yeah. The Marshall Plan.
Right. So here's some of the notes I have on the Red Scare.
But these guys were all Russian sympathizers. It's the same thing with the communists. So now the Japanese are fighting the Chinese, right? We're fighting against them too.
Mm-hmm.
All at the beginning, Lattimore and all these guys, these State Department guys who are in China, our people there, are telling FDR, Chiang Kai-shek, who's the head of the Kuomintang, who is the Chinese government, the legitimate Chinese government. Mao is up in the mountains somewhere out west, hiding, right, and the communists at the Long March and all that stuff. Okay, he's telling him Chiang's a great guy. He's wonderful. We should fight for this guy. We need to be allies to China. Well, about 1943. Things started turning around, and it looked like we're going to beat the Japanese. All of a sudden, Chiang Kai-shek is a murderer. He's a dictator. Don't give him any money. Withhold funds from him. All this stuff. Mao's the guy we want. He's the legitimate guy. He's the guy we want in charge. Democracy. Mao is for democracy of all things.
Well, that's bullshit, but yeah.
Yeah, and then look what happened. And then after the war, basically these guys kept it up, and Chiang Kai-shek, they basically took away all his money and all his funding, and Mao got stronger. He got funding, and Chiang didn't, and we know what happened.
Right,
the communists took over.
Yeah.
And Truman was blamed for that, rightly. So these things really had, what I'm saying is, a lot of when you talk about McCarthy, what he did to this poor homosexual guy, which I'm not trying to say, okay, yeah, it's dirty politics, but that's kind of redundancy.
Fair.
We're talking about atomic secrets. We're talking about communist China. We're talking about the Russians. We're talking about Eastern Europe, Yalta. They sold us out at Yalta. I mean, these are big time things. You know how many people died?
I'm not saying that the information lost and given away to our enemies is small in any regard. I still only say that his means his means were not justifiable.
Okay, well,
in my
70
opinion,
million deaths is justifiable to me.
When was there 70 million deaths?
China. How many people you think Mao killed?
Oh, that's fair. That's after the fact, though.
Yeah, but had they not gone, that's what I'm saying. These people that infiltrated our State Department gave China to the communists, or had one hell of a big part in it.
Fair.
Okay, well, that's what we're saying.
That's what we're saying. Then.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what you guys are saying. You're bringing up.
Hey, I'm listening to you.
Methods.
You're making good points there. I'm not gonna. That's a lot to think about. That, but again, I still have a moral issue with the way he basically threw sand into the room, and anybody that got hit with a particle of sand, he's claiming they're a communist.
Yeah, but people fought pretty dirty with him too. You think they took the kids' gloves?
Hey,
you think tidings?
fucked up. I'm fucked up.
I can't get past that argument.
That's the way it goes.
That's not the way you have an argument.
That's religion.
That's not. That is exactly fucking religion right there. Well, they can fucking do it.
Huh?
This guy does it. I'll do it.
It's just, remember we had the discussion with David Weiss and everything was a religion. What you're basically doing is an equivocation. Well, they did it, so I do it. That's your argument, or your answer to everything is, well
they
somebody
did
else
it. Somebody else did it. Why can't he do it? It's you're dismissing the wrongness
All
of the
I'm saying is
situation
the
and
essence-
trying to let him off the hook because
not. All
there's a precedence for it.
We're looking
No.
at it in a modern view, Armand, not looking back and judging these people in the past, which we can do.
Yeah, we can totally do that.
But you're not denying that what I said is true about him saying the state of it. You're quibbling about numbers, and he said 205,
Right.
but 57, etc.
And I'll go one further to say that his method was not the only way that could have got done. If there was not a McCarthy, there could have been someone else who could have been worse, admittedly, but who could have did that with a lot more.
Nothing did get done. That's not my point.
Well,
what he
that's a
did
good
was
point, too.
ineffective.
That's a good point, too.
He didn't solve any of these problems.
No, you're right, 'cause that
nobody
still
believed
happened.
him.
That's-
But that's the point. They attacked the man, and they said, "You're an asshole. We hate your guts. So whatever you're saying is a lie." All right, I'm going to grant you the guy's an asshole. You hate his guts. That's fine. But what he said was
Beautiful.
true.
I don't think we got much more to discuss.
No. So listen, Armand, let me tell you something here, bud. Everything you literally just said is today's political climate.
No, it isn't.
Talking about Trump. Yeah, no, it's
I'm not
exactly
talking
what it
about
is. Hey, we
Trump.
hate
I
his
don't think
fucking
Trump's
guts, so we're
an
not going to listen to
asshole.
anything he has to
You
say.
hate his guts. I don't hate his guts.
Listen to me.
Well, it
this
works
is
in the other
actually,
way,
I'm
too.
arguing for your point here, if you would listen.
I don't want you arguing for my point.
Okay, then
that
never mind.
weakens
Go
my
ahead.
argument.
Go ahead.
It weakens my argument.
Yes.
That's
don't
not true
agree
either.
with me, please.
That's
You
not
know-
true either.
I have almost no energy to go through this four
Nah, I
more
think-
pages of shit I've got here because
I
it's
think
just
we're
going to be
right.
somebody else
Hang
did
on,
it.
there's some shit I
Somebody
want to
else
talk
did it
about
too.
here, man. The dude took 20,000 from Pepsi. What was that about? I mean, hey, old Pepsi Joe, old tail gunner Joe.
You tell me. What was it about?
Well, I was busy doing other shit, researching. So I don't sit here and read the fucking book, Armand. So, but yeah, no. Then what did he do? What did he take 20 grand from Pepsi for?
I don't know. It was a bribe.
It was a bribe.
I don't know. To not drink Coke, I guess. I'm
Oh
not
shit!
Sure.
I'll take 20.
You heard
for
it
that.
here first, folks.
Yes.
Should I take $20?
Old tail gunner Joe. Yeah, no shit.
Well, I think we've already established. Okay, we're going to establish the guy was a liar, a demagogue, and petty as hell.
No,
but he's also telling
actually,
the truth.
I have legit questions for you right now.
Sure.
Check this out. So on December 2nd, 1954, the Senate voted to censor Senator McCarthy by a vote of 67-22, making him one of the few senators to ever be disciplined in this fashion. So when I heard this, I was like, holy fuck, I've never heard of them censoring a senator before. Like, why don't you just throw the motherfucker out? Like, why do you got what?
It's more or less what they did.
So what the fuck did he do to actually?
after-
What was the straw that broke the camel's back? That they were like, no, you can't fucking speak aloud to anyone anymore. That's it. Like, you're
he-
censored, bro.
That's not how that
he went
works.
after the army. That's what he did.
Oh well, yeah.
He started, and that was
okay.
Okay, a couple things.
That'll
happened.
do it.
Yeah. a
So
couple
yeah,
of-
in autumn of '53, I got the Army thing right here. If we want to go through the quick.
Plus, the other thing is, remember, in 1954, we got Eisenhower in the
Right,
White House, not
Eisenhower came
Truman.
in, right.
So now he's fighting his own guy. He's theoretically a Republican.
Well,
Right.
Eisenhower, you can't really call his own guy too, because I got some good stories when they were on the campaign trail together, like in Wisconsin.
He denounced him, but he had to
Step it back because they were too afraid in Wisconsin of him losing just for the fact that he was going to piss off the McCarthy supporters. He said he appreciates what he's doing. He likes what the thing is. But he does not approve of his methods. Is basically the long and short of what.
Yeah,
I
yeah. You're a fucking sleazeball. I
You
get
know
what
who
you're
did
doing, but I don't like how you're doing it.
You know who were his biggest allies?
Who?
The Kennedys.
That's true. Well, sort of.
It's like
What are you
Saw
talking about?
Gerrera.
You got Jack Kennedy elected.
Fucking rebels love Saw Gerrera, but they didn't like how he'd shoot fucking people right in the
You know,
face.
the only person who didn't vote in the Senate vote to censor him was JFK.
Well, he got him elected.
He didn't
That's
vote?
why he beat Henry
He
Cabot
was sick
Lodge.
that day.
He was what?
He was sick that
Yeah,
day, and he
right.
never after the fact said how he would have voted in that anyway.
Right. But he got elected because
Doesn't
of this
matter.
guy.
It was like a 60-something. It was a blowout vote anyway to censor him.
It wouldn't have mattered. He just didn't
censure,
want to be on.
not censor.
Censure. Sorry,
Yes.
you're right.
Right.
Well, I just want to call it censor.
No, censor is a different word.
Well, I believe you, but I'm just still going to do
So
that.
here's the Army investigation
Yeah.
for those not to know. And,
This is what
in
kind
autumn of
brought it down.
'53, McCarthy's committee began its ill-fated inquiry into the United States Army. It began with McCarthy opening an investigation into the Army Signal Troops Laboratory at Fort Monmouth, and McCarthy, newly married, cut his honeymoon short to open up this investigation. It garnered headlines and stories of a dangerous spying among the Army researchers, but after weeks of hearings, nothing came of his investigations. Unable to expose any signs of subversion, McCarthy instead focused on the case of Irving Perez. Are you familiar with Irving Perez?
Is
is
that the
pretty
guy at
He's the
high,
dentist. So
What's that?
I'll just go through it. A New York dentist who'd been drafted in the Army in
Oh yeah, the one
1952.
Bob Welch said, "At long last, have you no
No, that's a
decency?" Is
different
that
guy.
somebody else?
That's a
Okay.
different guy.
That was Bob Welch said that.
Right. Anyway, he was a New York dentist who'd been drafted in the Army in 52 and promoted to major
that's right.
by 1953.
Oh, wait, hold on. He got drafted in 52.
and promoted. Stay with me.
Yeah.
Shortly thereafter, it came to the attention of the military bureaucracy that Perez, who was a member of the left-wing American Labor Party,
Right.
had declined to answer questions about his political affiliations on his loyalty review form, which we talked about earlier.
Right.
He declined to answer questions about his political affiliation. Okay. His superiors were therefore ordered to discharge him from the Army within 90 days. That's what you get. McCarthy subpoenaed Perez to appear in a subcommittee on January 30th, 1954. Perez refused to answer McCarthy's questions, citing his Fifth Amendment rights his rights under the Fifth Amendment. McCarthy responded by sending a message to the Secretary of the Army, Robert T. Stevens, demanding that he be court-martialed. On that same day, Perez asked for his pending discharge from the Army to be effective immediately, which was granted by Brigadier General Ralph Zwicker, who was his commanding officer in New Jersey. He gave him an honorable separation from the Army, and at McCarthy's encouragement, there became a new rallying cry out there. Who promoted Perez? Do you remember that?
Right, yeah. He had a big problem with this guy getting promoted.
Right.
That's right. I don't remember the guy's name.
But
he's
in
a
fact,
dentist, right?
He knew, though.
Yeah, okay.
But in fact, McCarthy knew that why Perez had been promoted. He had been promoted automatically due to the provisions of the Doctor Draft Law, which McCarthy had in fact voted for.
So he knew why he was promoted because he voted for the fucking law that got him promoted.
Well,
but he still used that
because he was a member of the left to make it seem like the communists.
He was a cocksucker. Well, that's a cocksucker thing to do.
He was a member of the left, and he had refused to say where his loyalties lie. So right there's a little bit of a...
You're a communist.
Right.
Or no, at least you're now an enemy, and I can make you look like it.
You're missing my point. He's saying that by this guy maybe being a communist, that somebody within the government who is also a communist sympathizer made sure that this man was promoted. That's the thing here. It's showing that there's a communist, threat down below the lines, making these spies get. Man, I'm fucking mumbling.
Well, I thought the reason he got a lot of problems over that was, didn't he pull some strings to get one of his own guys promoted?
So right.
I thought that was the hypocrisy.
That was the next year. Well, that was after this. Yeah. So the next year at the Army of McCarthy, there was a series of somebody smacked me with a bat and make my mouth work again. Long story short on this.
Fucking glasses.
No, I don't need glasses. I'm just having trouble working my mouth.
Can I do it till I need
That's
glasses?
That's what he always says to me.
So there was the year after McCarthy was accused of using his political influence to get one of his former aides special treatment in the Army, but the Army was like, "Fuck you," especially after what happened last year. So they pretty much publicly shit all over McCarthy for trying to use his influence to get a man, further promoted and whatnot. It turned out though that they did push pretty hard, but it was his assistant.
But who was the guy? I mean, the one that Bob Welch came up with. At long last, have you no decency?
Yeah,
that looked really bad on TV, and that was that was pretty much the end of him. He looked pretty bad. It wasn't because of Edward R. Murrow and all this stuff.
No, it was an attorney, I believe, from Boston or something along the lines.
He called him a communist or whatever.
What had happened? They'd been having it was like hour 30 or something, or day 30 or something of these hearings.
Yeah.
McCarthy had sit and listen to some guy, in his opinion, bullshit on and on. It was pissing him off, and he's sitting there just boiling. So he just pops up out of nowhere and releases this name that he had decided not to do before, but was so pissed off he did. Well, how about this fucking guy over here in Boston or whatever? What do you think about him? Is he not a communist? To which the guy had to say, stop running this guy's name through the mud.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what did him in right there, right on public TV.
Yeah, he said
you could see him being a dickwad, getting mad, bringing up this guy's name just for the fucking.
He was too impulsive not to. It was he's fucked up. Look at it. What about this guy?
He's a
well, what about them guys that did it?
Yeah.
Armand, he did the same thing. That's why you like him so much. He was just like, well, what about fucking him?
I'm not saying I like him. I'm saying what he said was true. That's all I'm saying, and that I don't think you guys have refuted that.
No, we have not refuted.
All you've said is what a dick the guy is, and you don't like his methods.
It's not that he's saying that. I'm not saying that he was right and he's saying there's people in the government that were spies. I'm saying no fucking shit.
Well, have you ever heard
Everybody knows there's today there are spies in the government.
How come? But okay, the question is, how come? Have you ever heard of Martin Dies?
No.
Okay. We've heard of Hollywood 10, right?
The Hollywood 10, yeah.
Right. Okay. That was.
We have a list of those.
They always say it's McCarthyism. That was the House Un-American Activities Committee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was Martin Dies, a Democrat from Texas, who used the same exact kind of thing, badgering witnesses, using some questionable evidence, things like that, and he did the same. Nobody's ever heard of him.
Which is unfortunate. He wasn't a senator though.
What's the difference? He was from the House of Representatives.
Hey, Armand.
Continuously do this over and over and over.
He can't just tell somebody, hey, I'm subpoenaing you. Get the fuck over here.
All this? But you say he did all this for his own self-aggrandizement. Basically, Martin Dies did it before he did, and that's where he got the idea. He didn't just pop into his head.
How about this? In my opinion, he's a cocksucker too. Eric, get your fucking shoes off. Nobody gives a shit.
He just threw us $10.
Just to see your shoes?
No, my ankles.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Stop encouraging him. He's barely paying attention as it is.
Show us some ankles.
Anyway, let's see here. What about his journalist buddy Jack Anderson? What do you know about him?
That's some fucked up shit there. So there you go.
Your ankles?
Eric, this was yours.
No, not my ankles. Jack Anderson, his buddy that was a journalist, McCarthy's friend.
Oh.
You aware of him?
Well, we all need a
Hey, you ever heard
friend.
of Jack Anderson?
I have heard of him, yeah.
Jack Anderson, in his autobiography, The Confessions of a Muckraker, he pointed out, at my prompting, McCarthy would phone fellow senators to ask what had transpired this morning behind closed doors or what strategy was planned for the next day. While I listened to in and on an extension, he would even pump Robert Taft or William Nowlin questions that he had handwritten. So McCarthy was getting questions from a
McCarthy
journalist.
was giving questions to senators.
He was
about
getting them from a journalist and giving them to the senators directly. In return, Anderson provided McCarthy with information about politicians and state officials he suspected of being communists, so that Anderson could go out there and write these fucking pieces that basically.
So they're smear jobs, you're saying?
Right, they're together.
How do you know?
They're working.
They're not communists?
Fucking Anderson himself says that this was just a ploy between the two of them to reinforce each other's positions. What I'm doing is getting the questions I need to have answered by this.
Investigative journalism. I'm fucking flushing out a communist here, and then what you're doing is you're fucking solidifying my shit that I'm saying, and it doesn't even have to be true because now the senator's solidifying my investigative journalism.
Well, let me have you guys
witch hunt or
Well, we talked about would all this have happened? Let's say this was in the 1930s, because basically at that time there was a real movement in this country. There was a CPUSA, right? Communist Party of the United States of America, which was outlawed, by the way, later, right? Okay, they outlawed the Communist Party. But there were a lot of people that thought communism was a way to go. What's his name? That guy Davies that went to the Soviet Union and saw the gulags and stuff and thought, oh, wow, this is great. They're making, So basically, at that time when the Depression was going on, it wasn't any big deal to be a communist. WPA, all these guys were,
fair.
Okay, as I'm saying, there wasn't that.
Communism was fine as long as it suited us.
Well, and during the war, Stalin was our ally, right? We thought he was a great guy. These purges and everything, no big deal. Okay.
Well, right, exactly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But this was the 50s, so there was this hysteria, right? Which was pretty much, as you said, pretty much raised by the government themselves.
Right.
Okay. So in the 30s, this wouldn't have been possible.
Why not?
Well, I'm asking you. You think it would have been for a guy like McCarthy to rise to this level and
I would think so. Why? Well, just
I
because they
just
didn't have without the enemy. You're saying without a
no, because I'm saying in the 30s to be called a communist was not that big of a deal.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Without a public enemy that you can basically say that not only you're not on our side, you're on our enemy's side. You're saying it couldn't have been possible. So say in the 30s we had been at war with fucking Liberia or something like that.
Well, I'll go. How about now? Is it? A lot of people. Bernie says he's a socialist. Okay.
That's not
nobody's
good,
asking. Nobody's asking for his. For him to get out of the Senate or censuring him or anything else. Right?
Nobody should ask him for him to get out. They should. They should speak with their vote.
So it was basically the time this happened, the time frame, right? It's the 50s.
He was lucky in that regard that he was able to take advantage of a lot of this.
Precursored with the familiar term everyone else is democratic.
Let me ask you this, Armand. What would his career have looked like had there not been the ability for him to capitalize on a Red Scare? I
probably would have been a lot better off.
He would not have been reelected the first time.
Wouldn't have hit the booze and killed himself.
Died of hepatitis.
Yeah. Well, the same thing could probably be said for Richard Nixon too. We wouldn't have heard it. Richard Nixon made his bones in the House.
Fair.
Accusing people of being communists. In fact, that's how he got his seat in the first place. Like what's her Helen Gahagan Douglas? He beat her. She's pink all the way down to her underwear.
Oh,
yeah, that's what he said.
I know from experience.
So that's how he got, she's the one that came up with the tricky dick. Called him tricky dick.
Now I know why you like him. Yeah. Wait, he said I beat her all the way down to her underwear. That kind of like translates to like grab her by the pussy.
No, she's pink down to her underwear.
Oh, pink down to her. It's all pink in the middle, eh? This fucking guy.
Well, so I'm just saying it was the time, and to accuse a guy of using the times to make his big splash.
So we got.
Well, you're using the times as a defense for the guy.
I'm just saying, it wouldn't any other time. It wouldn't have worked. So it was basically the times that made the man, not the man that made the times.
I disagree. I say the man took advantage of the times.
Well, but did he create the Red Scare?
No, but he capitalized on it.
Yeah,
he definitely increased it and furthered it.
Right. He made it bigger than it fucking was for sure.
No, he exposed it.
Do you think he didn't have to?
So he made all this up.
I'm not saying that at all.
Okay, so then what?
No, he over-exaggerated to further his point.
Didn't.
Yes, he did, and his career.
You telling me he didn't like to get out there on the stage and talk about how there's communists everywhere, wave his papers. I've got the names right here, whether they're there or not. he didn't love the amount of articles that were written about him.
Dude, this guy is an embodiment of Donald Trump. Literally everything he fucking does reminds me of the tactics that Trump uses. I'm serious. I swear to God. And you can't deny that. The dude does shit.
What homosexual did Donald Trump cause to commit suicide?
Boom, that's true.
I want to hear this.
I said tactics. I don't think he sat there. I don't think McCarthy sat there and thought, you know what?
That's Hillary's
I'm going to get this
domain.
guy. Hey, I'm going to get his son to fucking shoot himself. Fuck that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he sat there and thought that. I'm talking about
The
tactics.
son didn't shoot himself.
No, the dad did because the son was gay. But I don't
But
think
he used that as his crowbar to get in this guy's political career and
Yeah,
ruin
and
him.
everybody
I don't think
looked
Trump
at him like a
did
piece
that.
of shit. Just kind of like when Trump mocked that fucking lady. It's like, yeah, damn, man.
I don't know where you're going with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
He looked at him like a piece of shit.
Okay.
It's justifying his character.
Well, listen, you're going to vote your way. I'll vote my way. I'll
Who's
neutralize
voting?
your
This
vote.
is 80 years ago or 100 years. We're not voting.
Trump.
We're discussing. Oh yeah, fuck him. But
Well, fuck Obama.
fuck him too. Yeah, he didn't give me no money.
Fuck the system.
Well,
That's how you got to. That's how you
some
judge
other
a
day.
president.
Some other
600, 1200. That's what you got.
So I think what the biggest problem is he was a bully. At the end of the day, I don't like bullies. Is what this guy was. He'll bully anybody to get his way.
I'll
He'll
get behind that.
blackmail, you know, and that's. I think that's where my problem with it comes in.
So
Maybe I'm
it'd be- so
soft.
it'd be-
Maybe I
so-
got too much Truman in me. I don't know.
I feel like I'm gonna say it. I feel like the guy's not a bad guy. As far as like
I feel like he was.
to be not me to be friends with or associates with, he's probably very beneficial to have on your side. But I don't want that kind of fucking person, you know, being in charge of like laws and legislature and shit like that, and being able to just fucking at a whim do what they want when they want and play the fucking bluff 90% of the time. You know, yeah, they fucking might be good enough to where we won't ever know that, you know. But your buddy, that shit's okay for. But I don't want my fucking any of my senators and presidents playing with that. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like being impulsive like that. I need them to use their goddamn
yourself,
heads.
Put yourself in his place, okay?
I'm not a good senator, man.
No, I'm just saying. You know that there are spies in the State Department.
Sure.
Okay? Nobody's listening to you. The president doesn't give a shit. He told us fairy dust.
Okay.
The other senators don't give a shit. Nobody cares.
Okay.
Okay. What are you going to do? Just shut up? Okay, fine. Well, the hell with it. Let him ruin the country. What do you want him to do?
I don't know. Maybe push harder.
And here's
Hang on, I got you.
Wait a minute. He makes a speech.
Makes up
and then he goes
fudges
in
a
front
fact here or there.
Okay, whatever. They say he did. Okay.
Okay.
But he said that. No, wait. They
That's
asked.
the closest we've got you to admitting that, though.
No, here's what he said, though. I just told you what he told Millard Tidings. He said, I will give you the names in private because I'm not sure about it. And Tidings said, no, I want them right now, right here in front of the Senate.
He said by the end of the day.
In public, though.
Right.
It's got to be in public. So he kind of goaded him into it. What else are you going to do? He's chivied into it.
Hours, yeah.
I got to name names now. Had he said, look, let's just take this behind closed doors where it belongs in committee, and I will tell you guys. Tidings wouldn't do it. So he's kind of in a rut. What can he do?
What's this?
That's for Alex. He's at the
Oh.
How's it going, Alex?
Hello.
Alex left his laptop in here this morning. He's coming to get it. Anyway,
All right. Well, it was a crazy time. Let's put it that
not
way.
going to disagree with you there. It was a crazy time. Something did have to be done about the Reds in the
Yeah, I'm not saying I know what should have been
Well, we didn't
done,
do anything about the Reds.
but I'm going to go back and judge based on what he did. You know, I don't know.
I don't like him. I don't like his scumbag face, and I don't like his scumbag methods. But other than that,
And I don't like him. Scumbag.
Maybe I'm too much of a pussy to do the thing that's got to be done. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know.
You're more of an Obie than an Annie.
I don't know
People
that-
should be made to.
Please no
Well,
Star Wars
look at who we're
references.
talking about our enemies were at the time. You're talking about Joe Stalin, Mao.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was no time to be fucking around. Unless you think, okay, that was just a paper tiger that the government came up with and it didn't warrant what this guy did. I think he believed in what he did.
Would you say that his actual results?
No, I didn't.
Well,
He
that's what I'm
didn't
saying.
get any
With-
results,
with- exactly,
unfortunately.
with his results.
One man, one senator.
Then how could you back up a man who did all this and still had no results? To use the despicable way to go about things rather than
I think he did expose a lot. At least he brought it to the fore, and people, it
Well,
was
he didn't have
covered
any
up.
evidence of it, though.
some of them he did, yeah.
Wait,
Did Nixon go to jail?
The Venona papers had the 200.
no, but he
names
fucking
in it.
should have.
Okay, but he didn't. Well, you're talking about results.
he's fucked
Does that
up,
mean
I'm fucked
Woodward
up.
and Bernstein fucked up?
No.
Well, it was all worthless, right? Because Nixon didn't go to jail.
Well, it wasn't worthless. he got
Well,
he
Nixon-
got impeached. He got
And the only reason
well, no,
he
he
did go to
resigned,
jail,
sorry.
honestly, was a fucking pardon from who was it, Johnson
was it
Ford.
Johnson?
or Ford? Yeah, sorry, Johnson. That was after Kennedy.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ford. Yeah, he may well have gone to jail. Probably should have.
Oh, he should have.
Okay.
But whatever.
But jail's
he did.
no place for people that
Saying that's his
are
point,
not
though,
crooks.
Because I didn't say what happened was effective. It couldn't have been because he had too much against him.
Right.
Nobody believed him. And I didn't really, when I went to high school.
So you feel bad for the guy then?
So if he would have people with him,
I think what he did was, was based on what he thought was true, and it came out in 1992, by the way.
How did you feel about Salem, 1700s, women being drowned?
I don't think that's a proper
Like they were just calling them a witch.
They weren't drowned.
It's apples and oranges. He's right.
They were burned. They weren't burned at the stake. They were hung. They were hanged, or they were.
What about the Trail of Tears?
They put the stones on them. They killed them. They crushed their chests.
They never did the drowning thing. That's a myth.
I don't think so.
I'd heard they did.
Myth
That.
No, I
busted.
think they did test them. If they floated, they're a witch. Not a witch, right?
Right, and then if they
There are a
drowned, they were
couple
not a
of them,
witch.
but
So they drowned people. is basically
Some of
my
them
point.
did, yeah. But I
well,
think
none of them floated.
most of them were hanged though, or killed with the stones.
Sure.
But I'm not sure that's the same thing. even
It's
though
not. I'm just trying
the
to make it
Crucible is basically. I
dumb-
think you're referring to the Salem witch trials.
All right, y'all. I guess we're gonna end it there. Agree to disagree on the,
Hang on,
the
I got one more
scumbaggery of
question for
McCarthy
Armand
or the
here.
non-scumbaggery.
I guess we'd have had a better
thing that I didn't
show
get-
if I'd have said he was an alien.
Is there
human.
was there precedence for his censorship? Like, so for them to censure him, had that happened before?
Sure.
I'd have to look at it. I think
It had happened,
I'm
yeah.
pretty
Okay,
sure it's pretty
so-
common.
Very rare.
Very rare then. So what as a senator, once you're censored like that, what the fuck good are you? Like, can they can't
Well, he
throw you
wasn't.
out, right?
That was it.
Is it? I mean, you can't they have to wait their
Especially for
term.
McCarthy, who was heads of committees. At that point,
Yeah,
he wasn't allowed
he was
to go out
worthy. He
and
was
point fingers
powerless.
anymore.
Yeah, that was pretty much they castrated the guy basically. That's why he ended up in that sanitarium.
Do you think
running
that
around.
censoring people and censure is and anyone in the government really that has a voice? Do you think that's good a good thing to do? You can just censor someone if they're against your opinion, or is there like protocol in place that the reason is there something that's standard that you can censor people? But like, oh no, he fucked up rule number 6.
Sure.
There
Just
is.
like
Okay.
impeachment and everything. I mean, that's right.
I just want to make sure there were standards and there was precedence for this, and then it just wasn't just like, oh fuck this guy, man, fuck, he can't say another word, done. You know what I mean? Like there were standards for this, right? This had happened before. They'd censored other senators before.
I don't know. I mean, in this case, it happened. Like
Right. Okay. So brings
The
me to my
point
next point.
being-
Is that okay that they did that?
I don't think so. But
I'm on your
No,
side on
I
this
don't- I
because
don't
I don't
think
think
so.
I don't feel like they should have censored the guy. If you don't fucking want him there, throw him the fuck out. Don't let him keep the title, keep the
not how
money,
it
keep
works.
the pay.
You
But then
can't
you
just
got to
throw him out.
understand, it was a Democratic Senate. He's a
Yeah.
Republican.
You can't
He's
just
in big
throw him out.
trouble
Well,
already.
they should be made to.
But the point is, when I went to high school, I had the same opinion. Everybody, this guy was a McCarthy, the worst thing in the world, witch hunts, etc. It was when Venona came out, when they declassified all this stuff in 1992, and I read the book about the Venona Project. It's like, wait a minute, this is all the stuff McCarthy was saying.
You think it's
That's when it
vindication?
changed my mind.
Yeah.
So you have to read some of this stuff and say, wait a minute, okay, I hate his methods, but what he said was true.
You think history has not bothered to
No, and they haven't. They're not going to whitewash the guy. He's, it's what it is. Like
Fair
just
enough.
like, but the thing about it is they always talk about Hitler. You compare everybody to Hitler. I'd compare him to Stalin. Stalin killed more people than Hitler. But why? He was our ally, so he's not as bad as Hitler.
Well, the winners write the history.
Well, that's what they say.
All right,
I gotta
boys.
pee.
That's right. Let's leave it at that. Are we doing the fucking
I don't see
after
why
show
not.
today?
Be a little less, but it's up to you.
We can do it. I'm not into
Talk
it.
about
but we'll do it.
coronavirus.
Please,
We can
God,
talk
no.
about all kind of stuff.
I think people have had enough of this, but
Yeah, me too.
now I'm getting censured.
Yes, you are.
It's my fault. It was my episode. Sorry.
I don't think it was a bad episode. I'm over the whole thing in general. You
I'm
know
like,
that?
but I'm like what you said.
with
I said,
with what happened last week, Eric pissed me off real bad with the whole that whole thing.
yeah, it's his fault.
And
Yeah, but-
the lack of doing shows lately has really gotten me out of the mood to do this. Before I'm already burned out on the shit anyway.
Maybe you got coronavirus. Maybe you are infected.
I
Have you been
sincerely
tested?
doubt the coronavirus is responsible for my
You're a little
my general lack
lethargic.
of interest here. How about being beaten into fucking who gives a fuck by constant barrage of politics and just dumbness on social media lately?
Well, the politics involved in everything that we do is it gets to the point to
It's
where
wore me
you're
down to
numb
nothing.
to it,
Well,
dude.
why don't we talk about
I get
Blagojevich?
numb to it.
That always
dude.
seems to.
I don't
put
wanna
your
talk
blood
about
No,
that.
because then he's numb to everything, and then once it gets to something like that, he just blows the fuck up, and it's
Why
because
can't we talk
I
about-
like seeing it.
It's because it's nonstop,
Yeah,
man. It's
I wanna see him blow his cap
Democrats, Republicans, it's family, it's friends, it's fucking coworkers, it's fucking everything. People just that's why they say don't talk about politics, religion, or her. That's it. I mean, talking about politics
what are you gonna
alienates
talk-
people.
We don't have any emails or anything in the after show. So what are you going to talk
yeah,
about?
we got
got
some
Oh, we
emails.
do.
Oh yeah, we got voicemails, we got
Oh, that's
emails, we
different.
got tons of shit.
Let's do
okay.
it. I guess we'll do it.
All right,
Fuck
let's
it.
hurry
All right,
up.
we'll see you guys here in a few.
It'll be better.
You can take a smoke break real quick if you need it, Everett. Get you more in the mood for the after show.
All right, see you guys here soon.
After the show, it's the after show, and